70 million people died during the Second World War. 13 million innocent civilians alone died in the German invasion of Russia. When you compare these facts with the United States casualties in the Iraq War, you cannot even grasp it. All these war victims died never really understanding the truth behind the physical war, but a simple faith in God was enough. The deeper truths from World War II were hidden, because they were too incredible for the masses. The real war was going on since the time of the patriarch Jared, the sixth generation from Adam. 99.9% of the historians who recorded what happened during the World War never realized the truth at the very core. Yet there were a few who glimpsed an incredible truth, so amazing that they themselves could not even comprehend it. Others who gazed on incredible revelations were afraid to release the truth, some fearing ridicule because the readers would never understand, thus suppressing it from the masses and educational institutions. It was too bizarre, sounding like something out of a science fiction movie. Yet these hidden secrets were too important and immense for us to ignore and began leaking out through confiscated Nazi diaries, Nazi scientists, naval intelligence agents who gazed at secret documents, and witnesses who talked before risking taking their secrets to their graves. Adolf Hitler had access to a higher intelligence than mankind. He explained it himself as divine voices. The German technology of UFOs is only now being understood by the public. Why haven't the average citizens of the 21st century heard this alternative version of World War II? The answer to that question was given by Hitler himself.
The real destiny of man is something the average man could not conceive, and would be unable to stomach if given a glance. Our revolution is a final stage in an evolution that will end by abolishing history. My party members have no conception of the dreams that haunt my mind, or of the grandiose edifice of which the foundations, at least, will have been laid before I die. The world has reached a pivotal point, and will undergo an upheaval which you uninitiated people cannot understand.
We've uncovered a never-before-seen secret location that can possibly explain the mystery between the Nazis and UFOs.
It was something unconventional, some kind of a spacecraft.
After the war, many of the German scientists went to New Mexico and became the bases of NASA. One of the key scientists, Hermann Oldberg, said we were helped by people from other worlds. Did Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party have help from a higher knowledge than man? There are scholars and believers who now think they were guided by the alien grays of our modern UFO phenomena. They insist these aliens have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. It's my opinion they have been here since the time of the patriarch Jared, as depicted in the Bible and the Apocrypha. They are not aliens from another planet, but are the children of fallen angels, destined to live in a spiritual dimension on Earth today. They are called demons. Many officers of Hitler's staff are on the record saying he was possessed by demons. Hitler himself describes it as divine providence. At the age of 17 he first heard their voices. In his book, Mein Kampf, he describes how a voice saved his life during a battle in World War I. The voice forcefully told him to get out of a trench. Seconds after he got out, an armored shell fell in the very spot, killing all those in the trench. He was now fully convinced he was divinely guided, and began his plan of ruling the world. If this theory is correct, we now know where that plan came from. It also provides a pivotal link to why and how their technology surged ahead of the entire world. Hitler repeatedly escaped death, repeatedly escaped assassination attempts, and repeatedly attributed his miraculous survival to divine providence and the voice, which preserved him so he could fulfill his mandate and his destiny. Moreover, his good friend, August Kubizek, also heard the voice which spoke through Hitler's mouth. As Kubizek later explained, it was as if Adolf was possessed by a demon. The following is a quote by Gregor Strasser. Listening to Hitler, one suddenly has a vision of one who will lead mankind to glory. A light appears in a dark window, a gentleman with a comic little mustache turns into an archangel. The archangel flies away, and there is Hitler sitting down, bathed in sweat with glassy eyes. François Poncet, ambassador from France to Nazi Germany, said, he entered into a sort of mediumistic trance. Hitler was especially afraid of this entity at night. He would come for Hitler while he slept and dreamed.
The German Vril Society is a society interested in what the Vril is. Vril is a notion of a superpower going beyond atomic power, something that has the ability to do all kinds of fantastic things, including those attributed to UFOs. At the end of World War I, where Germany was in abject defeat, it was of interest to German militarists as a possible source of power. The mediums in the Vril Society were saying that this force could be used to power terrestrial beings, and it claims that it comes from the science of these beings, and that if we adapt that science, we will learn a great deal about higher technology than we have. Of course, the Nazis, being interested in power, quickly bought into that, and the more desperate the war became, the more they wanted to do aircraft in tune with these mediums who were transmitting this material. They seemed to grasp the shape of these things, which was saucer-shaped or cigar-shaped, just as UFOs that are seen today. But they could never get the idea of the power that was involved in these things, because apparently, even though they used the name Vril Society, they never understood what the Vril actually is.
These ideas go hand in hand with what Herman Oldberg said: we were helped by people from other worlds. However, these beings were not extraterrestrial, they were interterrestrial. The Nazis were obsessed with advancing their science by any means possible. The Nephilim spirits, as demons now, took full advantage of their desires. Just like Alexander the Great, they were using Hitler and the Nazi Party to gain rule over the world. They started feeding the Nazi Party the technology to leap above the other world powers, and indeed, they were 25 years ahead. A German flight engineer named Henry Kalanda made an extraordinary discovery using a disc-shaped object. One of the first people to see Kalanda's experiment was a 20-year-old aeronautical student, Radu Theta.
The saucer rose to the ceiling and remained there. I thought it was something extraordinary. It would never have crossed my mind. You know, I was only used to the idea of normal flying.
Young Radu had just witnessed the world's first flying saucer. And this is how it worked.
If you draw air down onto a curved shape like a saucer, it follows the surface of that shape. By literally sucking the air from above his saucer so it flowed round and underneath, Kalanda found he could both lower the air pressure above and raise it below, causing the craft to levitate. This became known as the Kalanda effect. It's the principle at the heart of saucer flight.
It was a very simple idea, but of course you had to have thought of it in the first place.
Yes, I saw it. For me, it was something exceptional. Round with the central cockpit made in plexiglass, and with jets all around it that made up the means of propulsion.
Luigi Remersa had seen the world's first production flying saucer, and it was a Skoda.
Well, you see the pilot drawn in the cockpit. The pilot would drive the disc standing up.
This is one of the men who actually helped create that flying saucer. His name, Andreas Epp. Epp had invented a disc-shaped flying gunnery target and sent the prototype to the Luftwaffe High Command, suggesting it could be adapted for manned flight. In an interview recorded before his death in 1997 and never broadcast until now, Epp described how he began to suspect his designs had been stolen.
I kept hearing reports that people in Prague were working on the construction of flying discs, and that progress was being made.
Furious over being sidelined, Epp drove to the Prague test ground to find out what was going on.